It is not a simplistic portrait. In our number one story in the countdown, Rupert Murdoch, quote, never seems to be surrounded by the brightest bulbs, the A-team. His life is now largely spent around people for whom Fox News is a vulgarity and a joke. And Murdoch despises Bill O'Reilly. The author of The Man Who Owns the News, Michael Wolff, is here, and perhaps he'll explain for us why Murdoch has, quote, come to like the liberals more than the conservatives, and many of them have come to like him too. Bono and Tony Blair and the Google guys and Nicole Kidman and David Geffen are in his and his wife Wendy's circle. And though that may jibe with Murdoch's supposed disdain of O'Reilly, Murdoch is not alone. As we mentioned in yesterday's Worsts, just in passing, mind you, again quoting from the book, it is not just Murdoch and everybody else at News Corp's highest levels who absolutely despises Bill O'Reilly, the bullying, mean-spirited, and hugely successful evening commentator, but Roger Ailes himself who loathes him. But plenty of the Murdoch we know and love or something, well, the Murdoch we know is in this book. Being warlike is his point. He likes to be the cause of the conflict. He likes to set the house on fire and watch all the fire engines drive maniacally down the road. Joining me now, as promised, Vanity Fair columnist and the author of The Man Who Owns the News, Michael Wolff. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
First, obviously, Murdoch and O'Reilly, one of my mortal enemies hates the other. You have upended my worldview. What do I do now?
Yeah, you know, mine also. I mean, I sat there and you would mention, because I would try to talk in a respectful way, Bill O'Reilly, and then he would get this look, which was like revulsion, and then it was like this, and then I started to see this around all of Murdoch's people. You would say O'Reilly, and they would go, and no one says O'Reilly, we hate him, but everybody, the whole facial, everybody, it goes into a contortion.
But money triumphs that issue
completely.
Yeah. But how do a hypothetical, having studied this man now carefully enough to write this great book. If he became utterly convinced, for some God spoke to him and said, not only would a liberal news network make you 5 times the money that Fox News makes you, but one will exist and it will put Fox News out of business. Would he go down the street tomorrow, shut off Fox News and put on a liberal version of it just for the money?
In a New York minute. Absolutely. Wow. I mean, he's in, let's remember what Fox is. And obviously, Murdoch is a conservative and has conservative views, and that jibes with that. But that's not really what's going on there. What's going on there is he saw a market niche. It was easy to get into. It was easy to service these people. It was cheaper to service these people. And he went for it, and he was absolutely right. Now, actually, at the time he started Fox, remember, he's supporting Tony Blair. Right. He's begun an affair with a woman 38 years his junior. He's changing. But nevertheless, Roger Ailes comes along. He says, this guy knows television, which is totally true. And he saw a money-making formula.
But you mentioned changing. He's changing personally. How is somebody whose life is so much represented by his work, how is he actually changed if what he creates, what he does for a living, what people who work for him do for a living, his impact on the world, if it is not changed, if it's just as vulgar is a value judgment here, but if it's just as that way as it was before?
Oh, look at what has changed. He runs a perfectly straight up the middle news operation in the UK on the satellite B-Sky B. Very good. If not faultless, really strong news programming. Also, and this is critical to my book also, is the Wall Street Journal. Why does he buy the Wall Street Journal? Why does he buy a paper that's known for its seriousness, its probity, its high journalistic standards? Well, he buys it because he's in the process of, he wants something else. He wants, and it's partly legacy, and it's partly just the experience of a different kind of newspaper. But there is underlying this an idea of change, that he is becoming something else. Now, let's not exaggerate this. He's still Rupert Murdoch, and always remember, he's Rupert Murdoch. But, and this is a key thing, he's married to somebody different. And one of the interesting things about Murdoch is that he is, how would we say this, henpecked. And, his conservatism the conservatism of his, let's say, his middle years, especially the 80s, is he's married to a second wife, Anna Murdoch, who is classically and in a doctrinaire way a Catholic conservative. And he's, this is part of, he's mollifying at home. Okay, I'll be what you want. Okay. Now he's with a woman 38 years his junior, quite young, quite liberal, quite open, and certainly engaged with all of the Hollywood people. And suddenly he's okay, dear, we'll go out. And in fact, he's now on the phone with David Geffen a couple of times a week.
Well, we need to send her a fruit basket or something. What is his next windmill? Is it buy the New York Times? Is it kill the New York Times? Is it get Fox Business Channel off the mat? What is it that he wants now?
I think it's the New York Times.
Really?
I mean, very much. I mean, the Fox's Business Channel, I said to him before the book was finished, I said, Rupert, you got to tell me, are you going to close down this turkey? He goes,
I had that conversation with him, too.
Yes. But I think it really is the New York Times. I mean, he would sit there in the 9 months that I sat with him. He was either paging through the Wall Street Journal, and he pages, and there's this kind of violent thing that he does, slashing, or looking at the New York Times, and again grumbling, but also always at every point having this discussion with his people. Can we? I have no idea how they understand him. I puzzled over these tapes hours and hours and hours. What did he say? But yes, the New York Times, it's there, it's in front of him. He has been openly plotting with his people. How do I get this?
Boy, they'd put up storm barricades on 43rd Street, I think, before that came through.
Well, I don't know. At now $800 million is what you can buy the New York Times for today.
Well, I don't have it. It's a nice thought, though. Michael Wolff, the author of The Man Who Owns the News, great thanks for your time. Good luck with the book. And I know Fox executives who have said exactly the same thing that you just did. I'm really not sure what he said. So the tapes are absolutely on the march there.